speaking about video games, it seems like the big topic. There was like 2 or 3 big topics I mulled over when it came to talking about this week. And the one thing I settled on was probably the one thing that most people seem to be. I found that when new things come out, video games or hardware or whatever, there's always this hype train where everybody kind of scrambles towards it, and they're like, "Oh, the new thing could," you know what I mean? Like that weird excitement and hype you see every time there's a new thing. I don't think I've felt that for a long time. Whether it's a movie or anything where I'm like genuinely excited about something. I think the last movie I actually felt excitement for was probably The Force Awakens, and I walked out of that movie disappointed. That was the first time I had actually watched over and over again. The last time, maybe? No, it wasn't the last time. It was one of the last times I watched a trailer over and over again I was genuinely excited for. Can you guess, Ross, what the other trailer was? More recent.
No.
Joker, the first one.
Oh,
yeah.
It's a really good trailer. It's a really good trailer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've completely fallen into cynicism and curmudgeonliness, as Chance would call it. And I feel nothing, especially since I'm in the undead. I feel nothing but misery and cold. Which is why I like Frostpunk. And so it's hard to get excited for a new console. And it always feels like you're hyping yourself up for some billion-dollar company to like do the brand hype for them. You know what I mean? Especially when we don't have our hands on this thing and it could suck balls. I mean, imagine the hype we felt for 28 years later. Imagine we were just out here dude, it's going to be so good. You've seen this trailer, bro? Trailer's so freaking good. This is going to be the scariest movie out there. Imagine being that guy, and then the movie comes out, and you're like, oh, it's not very good. Or even to save your ego and reputation, you have to pretend it's better than it really is.
Oh, that's always a shameful act. Yeah,
it is a shameful act. Chance says the next Xbox and Steam machine seems to be a declaration that PC is really the only viable platform moving forward for companies not named Nintendo. I disagree. And I will give you my argument shortly. But yeah, it's just the reaction videos like, oh my gosh, you've seen the new thing, bro. And so essentially we have a new thing come out, everybody. Valve has not only announced one piece of hardware, but 3 pieces of hardware.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And we're here to get excited for it. So what we have...
Whoa! Is that exciting?
Yes.
Am I excited?
What we have is the Steam machine. Now, the Steam Deck already exists, if you see the previous piece of hardware. The Steam Deck is actually a pretty good piece of hardware. It's essentially a PC in a handheld, which is what we have with the Switch. It's just more powerful. So get over it. People act like it was innovative and say, the Switch did this.
Well, I think because it was actual PC, like, you know, you'd play Steam games, big games, I guess. But
yeah, it's got the Steam OS in it and stuff. So what we have first is a new Steam controller. Now, if you remember, the previous Steam controllers tried to be innovative and creative. And the previous Steam controller had that weird touchpad where you can move the cursor around to make up for the fact that if you're playing a game that requires a cursor, it sucked. It wasn't great.
I was gonna say, I remember kind of flopping personally.
So the controller seems to be essentially the setup that the Steam Deck had, but as a controller, because the Steam Deck has these little touch buttons as well.
Right.
Now, everybody's hyped up to this controller because it's this new awesome controller. It doesn't seem like a massive innovation. However, it has a lot of the features all the other controllers have. It has your haptic feedback, your rumble, the touchpad features, the buttons, all these sort of... The thing that stood out to me was the joysticks, which no longer use the previous joystick hardware format that the current consoles use. It uses, I think it's called TMR, which essentially is magnetics to read the precise movements of the joystick. And what that does is it not only makes it more precise, but the hardware more reliable, and will probably, we'll see long term, it will probably eliminate stick drift.
Wow.
That's huge.
That's awesome.
Which is a huge change, because stick drift for any joystick console in the past few generations was a huge problem.
Mm-hmm.
I've replaced the Joy-Cons at least twice now.
And the Joy-Cons are notoriously bad for stick drift,
Oh yeah, they're terrible.
which makes this, I'm sure, makes this hardware slightly more expensive, but more premium as an experience. And I suppose if you're looking for mass market cheaper, this might not be for you. My guess with these controllers is probably going to run $70-$80 at least.
Oh, at least. Yeah, if not a hundo.
It also has this curious feature when it comes to how let's see, it shows the features on it. Gyro, it has a gyro in it, haptic feedback, grip buttons, full-size controller, HapSense thumbsticks, Steam button, yada, yada, yada. All these cool features. Yeah, it's got rear buttons. Here it talks about the new setup for the joysticks. Yeah. What you would see on current Pro controllers, see rear buttons.
Yeah.
Which is also really neat.
Yeah.
It looks like a great controller. I don't necessarily like the design of how it looks like it's going to feel.
Nintendo buttons is always wrong.
Yeah, so it has this pad, you set it on and it charges on, and then it connects to that pad for wireless, which is kind of an odd way of doing it, but I like it. It seems fine. So it connects to this wirelessly, and then you set it on it and it charges on it.
Interesting.
Yeah. So as controllers go, it's great, but that's not really what we're here for. By the way, the controller will work with the Steam Deck. If you're that absurd human being that's going to buy this $900 console. What we do get is the new Steam Machine, which, look at it from people's estimations, is probably the size of a GameCube, which is a massive feature for it to be so small.
Yeah.
Smaller hardware ends up raising the cost to make it more compact and still effective. As far as the specs, for all intents and purposes, it is last gen, which I don't think is actually bad. Chance says, aren't there already aftermarket joysticks available for Xbox controller? You use TMR, can it replace the existing ones? Yes, there are. But you would have to replace them themselves. See, here's the thing, Chance. You're not wrong, and this is something you can do, but there is I would say, hump that most people aren't willing to get over, and that's do it themselves and replace the joysticks.
Not only that, but it immediately violates your warranty to do that. And so it really you have to kind of wait until the warranty is out anyway before you would want to try something like that. And if you don't have those skills, you're just going to go buy something else.
And usually if you're early to doing that sort of thing, you tend to break it more than repair it.
Yeah.
But whatever. So here's our Steam Machine, which is essentially a Steam operating system running PC, like the Steam Deck, that is compact, that you can sit on your desk if you just want to play games, or sit at your television. And despite the predictions that consoles are over, I'm going to tell you, for all intents and purposes, this is a console that runs your Steam library. This is a console. I know we've gone through the excessive conversations about, are consoles dead? Is this the end of console gaming? This is a Steam console. This is a console.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, if you can't really use it for anything else but gaming, yeah, it's a console.
Steam Machine looks like half a Series X. It does. A lot of people have said it looks like a merge between a Series X and it's a Series X and like a GameCube, is what people say it looks like. It's small. The hardware is actually not that bad. It's about a generation behind. It's not pushing the envelope. But it runs your Steam library. One thing, as gaming has gone into the future, what previously used to be a thing is when you'd buy a console and you'd have a new console set up, there would be a fear that your previous library became irrelevant.
Right.
But with modern gaming, when you buy games, you're collecting a library. And a lot of people get protective of the library they've collected, and they want that library to live on long-term in hardware they have going forward. So instead of just, I have an original Xbox game or I have a PlayStation 2 game, now you have a library of games that exist on a PlayStation hardware, exist on an Xbox hardware. The largest library, period, is the Steam library. And so having a dedicated console that accesses your Steam library is extremely beneficial. Now, you might ask yourself, isn't this what the Xbox was trying to do? Yes, it was. This is what essentially people were thinking that the Xbox Next Gen was essentially going to be. That's what the ROG Ally is, the Xbox, pseudo Xbox handheld, is an Xbox library, Windows library / Steam console. So this sort of shoots Xbox in the face and buries it in the yard, if this is what the Xbox was trying to do.
Sad to say.
Yeah, well, and to be fair, this doesn't have access to the Xbox library, to be fair.
Right.
And if the new Xbox also runs Steam, then that's a benefit. Chan says, I guess it is lost on me because other than small form factor, I don't see what the problem this solves or what features it offers that cannot be accomplished by existing alternatives. The Steam library.
Yeah, Steam library and an OS that isn't a nightmare.
Yep.
I mean, sorry, Microsoft, but Windows blows.
Oftentimes, people have a larger, more dedicated Steam library than they do have Xbox. And if somebody sits and goes, well, you can play all your Steam games on this small console you can put on your TV, you don't have to sit at your desk and stuff. I mean, it's an attractive proposition. But then you ask yourself, what would be the big sticking point? And that would be the price tag. Now, I've tried to go through extensively multiple websites to get an idea of what people think this would cost. Based upon hardware, it seems that this probably would run hardware just at cost close to $1,000.
Okay.
However, the speculation is this is speculation, but they're probably going to price it closer to $5,000. Now, we'll see if that's true. But if you're getting a Steam dedicated console closer to $5,000, let's say $556, that's not a bad bang for your buck. It's really not. And it runs pretty much everything. And it claims it can run everything at 60 frames per second at 4K. We'll see how that goes. Now, based upon the hardware, there are brand new games that it probably will struggle with at 4K. But let me answer you this. Apparently, they're utilizing something called AI upscaling, which is essentially use AI to make up for hardware limitations, to upscale the image to look 4K instead of actually rendering it 4K. So it will fix some of those issues by approximating 4K as opposed to render directly at 4K.
Okay.
Chant says it's definitely won't be for fans of physical media. You are absolutely right. And the future is turning against the idea of physical media. which
Sadly true.
sadly true, which for traditional retro gamers like myself, like Chance, Jason and Ross as well, but definitely me and Chance,
Yeah.
who have extensive libraries of retro games. Physical media is going to die at some point. Now I'm going to hold tooth and nail, and if there's ever an option to buy something physical over digital, I will usually choose a physical copy. Unless there's a sale and it's really cheap, I'll choose a digital one. But by and large, if there's a game I want, I buy the physical version. But the problem is current games now, the vast majority of the game isn't even on the disc. That you buy it and then it installs and downloads huge amounts of content from online. So you're practically already digital anyway with modern stuff. So if you want to go physical, it's become very difficult. Even Steam or even the Switch too, they're really just DRM discs that allow you to access your game rather than it actually being a digital copy, which is ass. It's like that's the stupidest, most angry part of the Switch 2, which is probably one of the bigger motivations as to why I've held off on purchasing it. But yes, physical copies are a dying medium. Digital's cheaper for them.
I mean,
it's easier to distribute.
Exactly.
Easier to access. And they can control pirating a lot easier.
Well, not only that, but you can control the code base a lot easier too. One of the things that you have to always remember about physical media is when you get it, you might have to install 7, 8, however many updates before you can even play the game, because you've got the physical media. And with this, the minute I download it, I've got the most up-to-date version. And so if I waited until it was on sale and now it's been a year, I don't just get the game, I get all the patches that everybody else had to download one at a time.
Also, hardware is more expensive if it requires a disc.
Yeah.
The Steam machine does not have a disc tray, which means it's cheaper, quieter, takes less hardware. I mean, the PS5 Pro does not come with a disc drive.
No,
I had to buy it separate and attach it to it.
Like a horrible tumor you have to reattach. Like
I hate the PlayStation 5. Can I just say, despite it being the winning console of this generation, I think PS5 Pro has sold more than any Xbox console. But the winning console of this generation, I hate how it looks. It just looks balls.
It is a butt ugly console.
It is butt ugly console.
People make fun of the mini fridge that is the Series X, but at least it's not a horrendous leisure suit looking tumored freak. I don't know. Good God.
Well, despite the PS5 Pro, it's the better looking of the butt ugly versions of the PS5.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm sorry, you were going to say something there.
Oh, just Xbox and Sony in a fight to the death for second place because the Switch just sails on by.
Chance says it is the 24th anniversary of the release of the OG Xbox.
Nice.
The good old days.
Yeah, when stuff was awesome.
Back
to be
when
fair,
Microsoft wanted to try.
Yeah, they wanted to try. To be fair, there were a lot of butt games back in the day as well.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
Just
they weren't all
bloatware.
good. Yeah, absolutely not. I mean, what's that really famous one on the Xbox? It's like something in the Two Dragons or the... Hold on. It was like a weird person shooter trying to be like Max shaded.
Ross is figuring it out. A lot of, I mean, the Wii was notorious for bloatware.
Well, and you know what? Look, the PS2 was the definitive the games on.
I mean,
the 99 Dragons.
Yeah, 99 Dragons. Freaking Atari had a huge amount of bloatware too.
Oh, yeah, it's part of what killed them.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just repeat versions of the same games because they were like, oh, we can we can print this stuff over and over again, and they'll just buy every piece of garbage that we have. And at some point, it just devalued the console. I don't think this is an irrational move for Steam. I think it could be an effective piece of hardware. Is it going to sell as much as the current consoles? Probably not.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I
But
would be surprised.
there is a reasonable amount of hype around this thing. Because not only can you access your Steam library, but if it's reasonably priced, it might be kind of competitive. We'll have to see.
Yeah, the price will be the huge determining factor because I think it has a chance of being really scary for the other consoles. Maybe not Switch, but for Sony and obviously Xbox. Because I mean, Steam has a lot of games that people want to play, and if you're on console, you're just kind of hosed for a long time. Things like Lethal Company. What was that drug dealing game that came out? Schedule One. Helldivers for a long time was like Sony and then Steam and then finally Xbox. I think there's a lot of stuff that if people could get it console variety, I mean, someone like me, I would be way more into it.
Someone like you, instead of trying to buy a gaming PC, might actually be attractive for you.
I mean, PCs are fun and all, where it irritates me.
What do you think of the removable faceplate in the front so you can customize it and, I guess, buy indie faceplates?
I mean, that's kind of cool.
Ross has gotten a little bit robotic. He's struggling.
Yeah.
So,
he's in the middle of nowhere. On top of this, the other piece of hardware was the new VR headset. Now you might go, oh, whatever, VR headset. It's not pushing hardware. It's not dramatically better. Oh, look, it's Silver, the ghost of college past.
Oh,
hello, Silver.
She must be in the chat.
Oh.
She'll haunt us. Then Chance says Silver sucks, but ka-chow, Silver. Ka-chow. Chance says if Valve sells this thing as a loss with the idea of making up the difference with software sales, then it's definitely a calculated risk. I suppose so. That said, it will have one huge advantage: ridiculously large existing library and stupid sales. That's an absolutely huge advantage.
Yes.
Yeah.
You have to huge.
You have to remember, people already have massive libraries of Steam games, and if this allows them to access them in a compact user plug and play experience, then it's not actually a bad move. You were saying, Jason?
Well, I was going to say that one thing about this that intrigues me is the fact that
ciao.
The fact that you have immediate access to your library, and possibly just blanket it works for any of your games. Obviously, you were talking about some of the newer ones. Maybe it might have issues with, but it's not such it's a little bit less of a calculated risk in my mind, just because of how many people have just absolutely massive Steam libraries, and the fact that
hundreds of games.
And if you're selling it at a loss, but you take into account the fact that Steam is already such a go-to platform for releasing games, it's not the calculation is not so risky at that point, because you have so many people that are already on your platform. And every time a new game comes out, almost invariably, it gets released on Steam too. And so it's a much more reliable risk than it could be otherwise if it was, say, Microsoft or Sony that was doing this kind of thing.
Yeah, you know, come to think of it, though, this isn't really something for me. I have a PC that can run Steam games, but if I had no financial concern and just could just buy it or whatever, like, could I use something like this? Weirdly enough, yes.
Yeah.
Because all of my stuff is in the rumpus room and stuff, so my bedroom, like, I could lay in bed if I wanted to be absurdly lazy and play Steam games. Just drool and decide not to leave my bed or whatever.
Do you know by chance if this I assume it does. I just don't I haven't checked the specs or anything. But do you know if this does multi-user support?
Oh, for games, I don't know specifically. We don't know a huge amount, and I didn't want to go over the hardware specs because like 1% of people might know what it's talking about. My guess is that for games who have multi-user support, it probably will. And one thing I talked about with Ross earlier, you could probably expect that a lot of companies will be able to patch their games specifically for the machine.
Yeah. What I meant was, like, say you have kids and they each
You
have
mean
their own
multiple
Steam
profiles?
account. Yeah.
My guess it would, just like the Steam Deck. I think the Steam Deck does have multiple profiles.
That's kind of what I was wondering. That makes it even a better attraction in my mind, because not only am I able to play my games, but my kids could play their games and stuff.
Well,
on
and
Steam,
your
so.
computer is in your office. You could put this at the TV, and now you can access your whole Steam library at the television.
Yeah.
And your kids could too. So yeah, it changed. It's not an irrational console. It's actually not a terrible idea.
And then if you have a family library, because you can invite people onto your Steam console or on your Steam account and say, I have these games and they're family in the family library, then they can play them from your account.
Yeah. No, there are options. On top of that, a new piece of hardware was also announced, was the new headset, which doesn't change the hardware, or it's not like a massive leap in advancement. Here's the thing. Why is this big deal? Well, there are a few features. One is, if I could get, it's very small. Like, it's comfortable.
Oh, that was one of the big drawbacks to some of the older hardware and stuff, was how heavy it was.
Now, usually when you shrink technology like this, you compromise on capabilities.
Quality.
Mm-hmm.
Linus Tech was given a Steam machine and the VR headset to play with. And Linus Tech, in his estimation, the most effective VR headsets are always going to be outside sensors that read the headset as it does things. And that's going to be the most effective way for a headset to function. This doesn't have outside sensors. And he tried it, and he had very, very good things to say about how it works. He said it was a very good piece of hardware that surprised him about how good it was without having the outside sensors. It's apparently a very good... thing is, it doesn't have to be the best VR headset. It just has to be comfortable, small, and effective for it to be a better seller. And who knows what the price of this thing's going to be. Yes. Well, here's where the kicker is for some interesting features of this thing, right? It could stream from your Steam Deck, from your Steam machine, your games, which your expectation is you would have to have it stream from. It has its own internal storage, and for smaller games that don't take a lot of space, it can run on its own without having to stream from a console.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty
Fascinating.
impressive.
Huge.
Would
Yeah,
you be in that spot too?
yeah. It's not a bad piece of hardware. It's a pretty good piece of hardware, and especially when most of VR seems to be moving in the PC direction. I mean, early
Mhm.
VR, like the PSVR was huge when it first came out. PSVR 2 has taken a steaming dump. It really has not been a big pusher. I bought one and I really like the piece of hardware, but as far as VR currently, it seems to be mostly a PC thing. And not having to have sensors, not having to have a cable, completely wireless. Internal storage on it. You can stream your games from your Steam machine that you could purchase. I mean, if you want to get into VR but don't want all of the big piece of hardware to get the best thing, and if you want to plug and play, you can get your Steam machine and you can get your little Steam headset, and you can access the vast library of Steam VR available games. I mean, I don't see this as a bad thing. This seems like one of the better options in VR if you wanted to try it out.
Yeah. Do you know if this will work with just a normal PC, or do you have to have the Steam machine?
I think it works with a normal PC. You just have to have Steam. I think
That's even better.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's like the controller. The controller will work with a normal PC and your Steam Deck and your Steam machine. The only thing that might be a bummer to those who were previous earlier adopters of VR is the new controllers, which use the new type of joysticks and are apparently really neat. These are not backwards compatible. You cannot use these with your older hardware.
I mean, that makes sense.
But yeah, it's simple, straightforward, newer controller. Yeah, despite all of the predictions that console gaming is dead, Steam has introduced a new console that doesn't actually seem like a bad decision. I don't know. What are your reflections on what we're looking at? Because the new console seems to be working out for them. There's hype.
Well, I mean,
go ahead.
Somebody sent a memo to Microsoft about consoles being dead, and it was like from Sony and Steam. You know what I mean? And instead of just like looking into it, they just were like, "Oh, yep, consoles are dead," and Sony is declaring victory in the current console war, and Steam is saying, "You know what? We're going to go with our own console here," and they're just putting Microsoft out of their misery.
I think gaming in the future is not necessarily going to be. I mean, probably hybrid is the best way to describe it, but I don't think in terms of hardware that's the best way to look at it. Because people are like, well, future gaming is going to have to be a hybrid console PC. It's like I don't even think that's really how you're supposed to view this. I think what you need to view the future of future of gaming in general is going to be how can I best and effectively and affordably access my library that I've already accrued.
Yeah.
And if it's a dedicated piece of hardware, or if it's a new feature where you can access it on your PCs that you might already own or whatever. I don't think console gaming is dead. And I'm going to say it right. Despite all of the vast internet predictions, I don't think console gaming has died. I think it'll probably evolve into something else. But as far as a dedicated gaming piece of hardware that's not, is mostly strictly gaming, I mean, that'll probably still exist. It might transform into something more like a smaller thing that you can plug into your TV and access your library. But still, is probably that. I mean, that's probably what they're going to look like coming forward.
I'm with you. I don't think that console gaming is going away. The thing that I see when I look at consoles and stuff is how much closer to PCs the consoles are getting. They're just getting more powerful and more powerful as the years go by, and they're getting closer and closer to that PC era. And I think Microsoft, for them, it would have been a good idea to just say, look, what we're going to do is we're going to make our Xbox compatible with the Steam app. And so if you want to play your Steam games on Xbox, more power to you. If you want to play your Xbox games on Xbox, there you go. And it just opens up that library wider. And I just see, Sony, if Microsoft had done that, I just see Sony following suit.
Yeah,
But
it's
as
hard
it
to
is right now,
see. It's hard to see where Sony goes with this.
yeah.
But I don't think it. I mean, I don't think this necessarily puts the nail in the coffin of Xbox, but it does. It might shift their plans because this seems to be the direction they were planning on going. We'll see.
Yeah, something where your library exists, you plug it into some sort of screen, and now I can play stuff. There you go. I mean, that really what might be, like you said, that's what we get for consoles in the
Well,
future.
predictions. I mean, if you look at some things where you now have like streaming capable, you could stream your games off of
Yeah,
servers. Like, watch, we might end up with like the Xbox dongle you plug into USB port in the back of your TV, and then you just stream all of your library.
yep.
Well, you were going to say something, Ross.
Just that, yeah. I mean, this is probably going to kill Xbox. Not that it wasn't dying already. I think Sony should worry. They already share their bigger games with Steam now, anyway.
Yep.
And they're going to start eating their lunch, I think, if they're not careful. If they don't start having either hardware that's actually worth it over this or exclusives. And I don't see the exclusives thing changing anytime soon. It could. I mean, they could turn that ship around, but that's a big ship to turn.
You're not wrong. Sony is in a weird position because it's funny. You think about Nintendo, and they're a closed system. You can't get their games on Steam, but it's not hurting them because they have a premium experience, and they just know if you want to play Nintendo, you got to come to them.
Yeah, and that's the thing that always baffles me about people that hate the console wars. They hate the exclusivity of the consoles, despite the fact that's what makes them. And with Steam, not only Valve not only coming out with a console, a new version of the controller, but now also a VR headset. Sony better be worried because that controller has all the features and more of their bougie new PS5 controller. And it sounds like they have a better VR headset. Like that should be concerning, and I'm sure it is to them. I know they're not dumb. Especially because I think the PlayStation division is the only thing that makes Sony money anymore.
Yeah. I mean, you're not wrong. That's the only thing that makes them money.
Yeah, so we'll see. It's very interesting. I mean, price point's going to be a big part of it for sure. So we'll see where it goes.
Yeah. The future of gaming is going to be curious. We'll see. I mean, as much as people are like, this is the end of Xbox, I don't know. I think Xbox seems they can't compete with the dedicated hardware and exclusive library because their exclusive library is getting worse, and their hardware doesn't seem unique enough and user experience unique enough to surpass Sony. And so they're trying to be this hybrid PC console box, which the Steam Deck is going to do better than Xbox is. And it's like, you can access the Xbox library. And it's like, but the latest Xbox library has been balls. Like, what exclusive Xbox library do I have to access through you that I desperately need to get? Whereas Sony does have like your God of Wars and stuff. Like at least there are some exclusives. So they're either not beating them in the console market because they're not exclusive enough and don't have a premium enough library like Nintendo, or Sony have a premium enough library like Nintendo, and Steam is going to do Steam better than Xbox will.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like you said, this may not be the nail in the coffin, but Microsoft seems to think it is.
They need to think about their future strategy long and hard.
Yeah.
Which it's like, oh well, I think they are like they got the smart people. Have you seen the comments coming out of the head of Xbox?
No.
That's
well,
what I'm talking about.
Well, what did she say? Actually, if people say everybody's got basically Xbox software to run games because everybody's got Windows, so they can access the Windows Central library, and it's like, oh, come on,
CEO corporate cope.
Yeah. This is buzzwords to pretend like everybody's got an Xbox in their house, and calm down.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to think that, go for it. But like I said, to me, these comments that are coming out of Xbox, they wouldn't be getting rid of their exclusives. They would try to be focusing on pulling in more stuff, more exclusives into the Xbox library, rather than basically saying, well, you're going to be able to play Halo now on anything. It's like that. Maybe that's not such a great idea there, champ. Maybe you should, because to me, that's just we've already lost and consoles are dead anyway, so let's make as much money off of this IP as we can.
Well, and we could talk about consoles and hardware and cool features and user experience till we're blue in the face. But if consoles have taught us anything, every new generation, the only thing that matters is whether or not you've got games that are any good.
Yeah.
You could have the coolest hardware in the world, which I think the Xbox Series X is great hardware. And if the games suck, no one's going to buy your stupid refrigerator.
Yep.
The game library is the only thing that matters. And if you're going to make an Xbox, you have to have premium game software that people need and want to play that justify the purchase of your console. And if you can't pull that off, then what are we doing? You can make the coolest console next gen, and it means nothing if you've got no justification. What are you going to argue? Our premium user experience is better than their premium user experience. If that's your only argument, then both consoles, the PS5, the next PS5 and the next Xbox, are both going to have premium user experiences, and PlayStation is going to have better games. This is the direction you're going to end up going. At least Steam has thousands upon thousands of games accessible through their library, including games from PlayStation, from Xbox, like freaking Halo. And I mean, Ubisoft is on. There's so many games accessible to them. They don't have to worry about whether or not they've got exclusive premium user experience games when they've got pretty much everybody's games, because Steam is the library that you go to. They don't need first-party stuff like Nintendo. They have your games.
Pretty much. Yeah, there's very little they don't have at this point.
Well, looking forward to that plastic box coming soon.
I look forward to seeing if it is outrageous or incredibly well priced.
I'm just gonna keep getting higher pitched and
until we can't hear you.
Yeah, more.
It's so high pitched that it cannot be registered by our ears.
More Black Lady with attitude.